I think I've taken too much of your time, but this has been another great conversation. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I view every time we talk as an investment in you and one I'm happy to make. The most important thing you have to do when you acquire a company is have a plan for how you're going to increase its value substantially and its cash flow substantially after you acquire it. But on Thursday and Friday, I will be out of town and I'll be in Salt Lake City, Utah on a company that we're acquiring up there. And by the way, this will be an incredibly valuable company to you if we are successful in completing this, which we expect to be. This company, the reason we want it so badly is they've got patented technology that allows them to go online into the vast social media network, all the information which is available online. Their software that's patented literally collects, like if you're their client, it collects all the data literally in the universe that's out there, massages it in such a way as to identify who the best target clients are for your company, and then brings it down to an automated media campaign and a marketing campaign rather, that has doubled, tripled, and quadrupled the sales of their clients within a month to 2 months. And it's so powerful. And the reason that we want it, this company, is it plays directly into what we're doing in our acquisition business, which is the most important thing you have to do when you acquire a company is have a plan for how you're going to increase its value substantially and its cash flow substantially after you acquire it. Because that way the debt service becomes very easily managed. And then you start producing surplus cash flow over and above what it takes to meet the debt service very quickly. We want to be able to deploy that technology into the companies that we're part of the acquisition of, so that as soon as we get a company acquired, we can apply that technology to them and radically increase their sales. As an example, in our client relationship with you, now I'm probably speaking a little out of school because I know what their technology does, but I'm not 100% sure how it does it. And I'm not 100% sure of all the categories that it can work for. It seems to work for almost any type of business so far as we can see from their client database. But this is something that you should be exposed to. This is something where we're even taking that technology, believe it or not, to the lender that we're raising the money from to buy the company. And part of their motivation is they want the technology to create more loan business. And a side benefit of it is it will make their company operations more cost effective in terms of how they do business. So it will not only get them more lending business, but it will also make their companies more effective and more efficient operationally. And so there's a lot of synergies to this company. In other words, there's a lot of reasons why it's important for us to get it. So I'm knocking on wood here because it looks like a clear path down the lines for us so far. And we want to get that thing closed because, again, it's a huge benefit to the things that we're doing.
That sounds absolutely incredible. And so, are you under LOI? Like, what does it
Yeah,
look like?
yeah, yeah. The LOI is signed. And right now their data room is up and running. Our investment banking team has access to that. They're moving along with that. That's separate from what we're doing with this lender. So we have two alternative approaches that we're taking. Either the lender will come through or the investment banking group has it packaged to their groups of investors that they already have access to. Whether it's going to be one or the other or a combination of both, we don't know yet for sure. But both of the sources of money are capable of doing this without the other. We're interested in completing that. So that's where we are. And the folks, the only thing that worries us at all is the folks who are selling wanted a close date literally 50 days after the LOI was signed. And that's relatively fast. However, the lender can move that fast. Okay, that's why we selected that one. And the investment banking group is a little less certain that they can get it packaged in a way that they can then have the time sequence they need to bring their investors in, have them go through the package, make their decisions, get the money into an escrow account, and then close the deal. That typically would take them probably 70 days to do that. So that one is almost now the backup to the lender. so that if we can't get it closed in 50 days, we at least, that when the lender does not come through, that we have a backup plan that would take 60 to 70 days, which would make our seller a little unhappy because they want to sell it. They want to close in 50 days. And by the way, the guy's staying on. So he's going to be running the company for us because he's the genius who patented all this stuff. He knows it inside and out. And he and I have developed a phenomenal rapport of a very expansive future together, because there's things that we want to do together, which will take his primary client base, which is all SMEs. And it's a very important constituency for Bizarre Financing as we help companies grow like yours through acquisition. So the two have tremendous synergy together. We'll be referring clients to his company. His company would be referring clients to our company. So there's a lot of synergy there. And the fact that the two of us, meaning this individual and myself, we're both big thinkers. We're forward thinkers. We've already plotted the conquering of the universe here together and how we can do that. So I'm very excited about it. I don't want to disappoint him either. In my business, unfortunately, which is acquisitions and mergers, there's so many facets to the business, so many players in the business that it's not unusual to have something go sideways that doesn't affect the ultimate outcome, but it affects the timing of the outcome. And that's what I'm concerned about. And sometimes I do get caught flat-footed on the timing. It takes a while longer sometimes than I'm happy with. And so the only disappointments really that I've ever had to live with in life mostly is timing. It's when does it happen, not does it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what is the reason? Because we're experiencing that with Daher, right? Because the owner, Steve, said he wants to close the transaction in 60 days. And so I sent him an LOI saying that we can close the deal in 60 days, but I also put a provision in there stating that if we're on the way to close and we've got financial
Right.
commitment, that we can extend another 30.
Yeah, that happens so often. That's like a standard provision of
Yeah.
an LOI. Okay, that in other words, that if we can demonstrate where we have, usually in ours that we do here, we put, but do we have a term sheet from a lender? In other words, what would demonstrate that your acquisition is in hand or the financing is in hand? And generally, there are certain things that demonstrate that. You get a term sheet from a lender. Well, they're telling you, we'll close the deal and we'll close it in this many days. We need this and this from a due diligence side. Okay. But if we have this and if it complies with what you've already told us, then we'll close within so much time under these conditions, these costs and conditions. And once you have that, you got a deal. These lenders don't back out of that.
Yeah.
And if your due diligence just totally falls to pieces, you're going to get the deal done.
Yeah. And maybe that's something I should have included in this 60-day one. I should have said the 60-day close period begins when we receive all the diligence items, because they
Mm.
can drag their feet 2 or 3 weeks not getting you anything. And it's eating into the time.
Right.
So that's not nice thing I can include in there. But what's the reason that he wants 50 days? Why not 60 or 70?
In his case, he has a son that's about to be born, and it's his first son.
Okay.
He wants to take the time that his son is born, and he wants to be able to dedicate time to the family to be able to do that, which means that after 60 days, his kid will be born. And then if it closes later, then that can interfere with that. And he wants to set up a trust fund for his son on the day, literally on the day or within a day or two after he's born, in order to have a trust fund for him for geared to the following logic. Okay. He wants to have enough money there that he knows his son and his family will be taken care of no matter what. And that in effect then frees him up to go out and risk and play and do whatever it takes to grow the business without having to worry about his family. So that was the nature of the rush. So if it happens after 60 days, it will interfere with that process, or 50 days, it would interfere with that process. It could also interfere with the process if his son is born prematurely. So that he's shooting for a target date, which is on a calendar somewhere, which may or may not be the date. But anyway, people do things for different reasons. In other words, his goal is to make sure that if he's out risking in the future and doing whatever he has to do to grow, he does not want to worry about his family's financial security. He wants that locked away. It's the same reason a lot of people, when they sell a business or the controlling interest in the business even, is they want to take money off the table that minimizes their risk going forward, so that there's a portion that they're still willing to risk and still want to, move forward on. But they want to know that no matter what happens, the future is secure. So that's the deal with this individual.
Understood. Yeah, everyone's got a different reason, and if sometimes it doesn't make sense for us, but in their head it makes sense, and you just have to respect that. And that's the
Yeah.
way it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, I wouldn't normally do things for reasoning like that, but that doesn't matter. It's not my life he's living. All right. He's
Exactly.
living his own life and his own family's life and his own feeling about the son that he's about to have. He actually sent me a picture a month or so ago of his first the sonogram of his
Oh,
son. Yeah, that's what he's into this.
yeah.
Again, I don't try to second guess people at that point. I look at their track record and what they've done. I look at them as in how they deal with me. And I allow those to be the basis of the decisions that I make. And so far, I've done pretty well doing that. So I'm pretty comfortable with that.
Hey, Gordon, can I don't want to take too much more of your time, but I just want to ask a question. It's something that I think a lot about, and I'd love to get your thoughts on this. Do you go off your gut instinct a lot of the time to make decisions?
Um, the answer is yes. Okay. The question then is a quantification one of what's a lot of the time, or how does that quite work? On this
Yeah.
particular company, it was definitely a gut decision. And I'll give you how much of a gut decision it was. I had Eric look at the company, and Eric didn't like it. Okay. Because the debt coverage ratio was far from what it would normally be. But when I structured the deal, I understood the problem, and I structured the deal so that it looks like it's a 6.5 times EBITDA financing, where there's two times EBITDA that the individual is getting down on the company. So their down payment is 2 times EBITDA, but the full purchase price, there's another 4.5 times EBITDA that I've structured it literally as an earnout. All right. So he gets that provided the sales grow at a certain level. And then I set milestones for that. All right. Now, if he grows at those milestones, the company will never have a negative cash flow. Never. Okay.
No,
It'll always be strongly positive. Okay.
yeah.
And if he doesn't hit them, then the amount that's owed comes down at a rate that the company will have a bigger cash flow, frankly, if he misses his growth rates. All right. So whoever's putting up the 12 million is fully protected, not by the fact that there isn't these future payments to make, but the future payments are conditional on the cash flow being there. So it makes it so that the lender has to understand that, or an investor has to understand the structure. So that's the challenge, is making sure that they understand the structure. But when Eric does it, he tends to look at it in a more conventional way, going to a bank for the money. And when a bank is putting up the money, even though he knows the banks, he knows what they're willing to do and not willing to do. So in his structure, he always structures it so that he can go to the bank and get the money. Okay. In my case, I take on the responsibility of, well, what if you can't go to the bank and get the money on a deal? All right. How are we going to structure the deal so we can get alternative types of financing to get it done where we can show them how they're fully protected, but it doesn't meet the bank's rules? Okay.
Got it. Got it. So you, I guess the question should be, do you ever go against your gut instinct?
Sure. The
You
answer
do.
is yes, I do. And I've tried to take the word fool off my last name. And so if somebody I respect sits down with me and says, "Hey, Bizar, look at this." And if their logic is sound, and if what they're saying makes sense, and it's 80% of the time, if there's a number, 80% of the time, if they really make sense, I'll say, "You've made total sense, and there's no alternative to what you're saying." And in that case, I take the word fool off my case. Okay. On the other side of that is, if I'm confident that there's an alternative structure to do it that they don't fully understand or respect, because it's just, they're ingrained to do it a certain way. I know I can't go to a CPA and sell this. I know I can't go to a bank loan officer and sell them this, because no matter what I say, it wouldn't matter. They're so indoctrinated to how it's done that they are not going to listen to me. All right. So I've got to find those sources that will listen to the pure logic of what's done. Deal structure is a key to getting it done with alternative methods. But then you've got to have people who are bright, willing to listen, and who understand the mechanics of what's happening and why they're protected and how they're protected.